Okay, this is going to be the beginning stage for using Family Book Creator with Family Tree Maker. And let's just start at the very basic of downloading it. In the Family Book Creator group here, you can go right to the download area. In the pinned announcement, he's always got the latest version. Must be busy. He hasn't updated this post because the latest version is actually 586. It is a very minor update, and likely if you're still running version 584, if you haven't updated to 586, you probably won't notice any difference. A few people couldn't run 584, so that's likely what the program fixed. But if you go to Family Book Creator, you can download the free trial, or else if you're already in the group here, you can just click on this last link, the download area, which will take you right to it, where you select your Family Tree Maker version. You usually have to pick your family book, the version based on the Family Tree Maker version. Family Book Creator 10 for Family Tree Maker 10. The only difference is between Family Tree Maker 2017 and 19. Both Family Book Creator 17 and 19 will work with both Family Tree Maker 2017 and 19. So, and if you're running Family Book Creator 2019, there's no reason to do 19, but you just click on the download area. And here's the exe. You can just download it. It'll go into your downloads directory. The quick start guide is okay. It's a small file. The user guide is a big thing to download. And you may periodically look at it. There's a version number here. You can compare it to the second page on it. And so if you want to know if you've got the latest version, this number will match what's on the second page for the version, which is just the date they created it, because he does occasionally update the documentation. But when you have the file, you do have to make sure Family Tree Maker is shut down when you install it. You just go to your downloads directory or where you have it stored. Hang on here. For me, so you just run it, follow the prompts, and it will install. And then you can always tell then, because then when you start Family Book Creator or Family Tree Maker, it will show up under the tools. So tools for plugins, export with plugins, and there it is. Like I said, only because I'm an admin is the only reason why I still have Family Book Creator 2017. When you do start Family Book Creator, it's always best be on the person in your tree that you want to do the book from. Like this Clarence Benjamin Hall. This is my great-grandfather. And this is probably the book I update the most. I've got a ton of family on this that are interested in the book. And you can see by the children here, my grandma here, she was the oldest of 11 kids. So, but so, okay, so we're just starting Family Book Creator now, and we're on our main person. Now, the first thing you want to decide is what type of book do you want to do? There's the descendants book, where it's like from that person down to the current generation. You could do the ancestors from this person, their parents, grandparents on, or you could do the relatives, where it will start doing a spiral outwards, where it'll do the parents and the kids, and then it'll start getting the aunts, uncles, cousins, and it just spirals outwards. And with that, then it starts doing whether you want civil law, canon law. You can actually look that up with the differences. It's about how they decide how many degrees apart they are. But I generally do either descendants or ancestors. The other section now here you do is, who do you want to create sections for? Typically, you just do it for just people that also have children too. So when you're doing, say, descendants, if someone doesn't have any kids, they're only going to be listed just with their parents. You're not going to have it create a whole new section just for them. And that will make a big difference in the number of pages that it creates. You do have the option of doing it if they do have a spouse. With the spouse, if you do tell it to do a section with the spouse, it will mention the spouse's parents if that's included. Or you can just tell it to do it for all individuals. With all individuals, it's the only way that all their media can print. Because if they don't have their own section, only their profile picture will print. You got certain options, like if you want to follow just biological, preferred parent, spouses. Let's go into the main things. Here's like your title page you can do with, okay, so here's a picture I included. This is something new what you can do with 2019, where you can actually add pictures. You can do the default where this will just take the person's name. Colophon, this is just interesting stuff. You don't have to do any of these sections. You can check or uncheck them. Same thing, dedication, if you want certain people. Forward, this, like I said, these are all optional. Table of contents, you don't have to have a table of contents. It's usually handy. As well as an introduction. This is pre-canned stuff. You can keep it, you don't have to keep it. And then the indexes. For an index of places and then an index of individuals. Whether you want an index or not. The whole thing between whether you do a regular sort or a reverse sort, if you do like the regular sort with city, county, state, say if you have a place here, like, okay, I grew up in Estelline, Hamlin County, South Dakota. Okay, so that would be filed under E. Well, right next to a neighboring town, so if, say, I had a cousin living in Castlewood, Hamlin County, well, that's going to be clear over in C. That's where sometimes having like the reverse order would be neat, because it's going to list like the Hamlin, it's going to list the state, South Dakota, then Hamlin, and then it's going to list, okay, here's Castlewood, and then the people, and then Estelline. So it kind of keeps the common areas together. You can also have it use the short place names if you want, color coding. and stuff like that. And whether you want a bibliography, source repository, that's all later. Okay, so now for the meat and the bones. Let's just kind of cover the items to include. The family chart. Let me just bring up my let's just kind of just bring up this book here. So here's the family tree chart. So here's the parents, then all their parents, grandparents, and then the children. And here I've got the color coding. I won't really go into the color coding right now. I mean, that just gets from your tree. But this is the family tree chart from the settings.
John, you do have to have those set as profile pictures, correct?
Yes, yes, yes. That is whatever is set as the profile pictures, right? You know, so like right there. And then that's, you know, the picture it takes there. And you don't have to include photos if you don't want to. If you got certain photos marked private, maybe if you sync your tree to Ancestry, so you mark them private, you can click include private, and that way you can still print them in the book. Yeah. The include empty branches, this would be, you know, like here there are no empty branches, but say if we go down to let's see here. Free. Okay, so like my uncle's first wife, well, see, I don't have any information on her wife. So if this option was checked, well, there would be just a bunch of blank boxes here. So I opt just to say, well, don't print them. So, but you can if you want, but that's what that option does. And include grandparents of all individuals is kind of nice for the same person, but maybe on this level, well, you don't necessarily need these. Maybe you don't need these people to print on all of them. And if you look, you know, well, that takes up maybe an inch. So it would save room if you'd say, okay, just don't print. It only print, say, up to the parents. Reference numbers, that's if you include, that's if you include reference numbers in your family tree file. That's so you can tell like one John Smith from another John Smith. You know, John Smith 967 as opposed to John Smith 782 or whatever. It would print those numbers after the name. So now the big main thing here now is, and this is probably a big confusion thing for most people, is there's a primary, partner, child enlisted with main section, child enlisted no main section. And these are all basically identical. Now the primary, this is the main person. So back in my book here, I started with my great-grandpa, Charles Clarence Benjamin. In this case, he's the primary person for the starting generation. So here are the facts I want displayed, and then you can specify how you want them displayed. Now partner, now that's his wife, that's Gladys. That's the same thing. Well, so you kind of have to select the exact same options. The only difference is with the partner, here is where you get the shared facts, like the marriage fact. This is where you'd set how you want them. And you can see how you want the sentence structure, and this goes for any fact. How you want it displayed. Now, child with main section and child no main section. Child with main section would be for, no, let's go here. Like, see my grandma, like here, all these pluses, well, these all have kids of their own. So they're all going to be listed later on. So these are all going to be considered children with main section. So you generally only want minimal information here because their details are all going to be printed later down here, well, like down here in the next generation, because here my grandma is. So here all her information with her husband and all their stuff is going to be printing. So yeah, so it's like you basically want birth, marriage, or birth, death, you know, maybe burial, and also known as, you know, that's, you definitely don't want any notes printed and stuff like that. But now in the child with no main section, now they don't have kids. And like I said, this, and whether or not they have a section, this all goes back to this setting right here. How this is set. If you've got a setting for all individuals, no one will ever fall into this section right here, unless you limit generations. But if you tell it to do all generations, no one would ever fall into that then. But with this, if they don't have kids, then they'll fall into this. And then you could also have it display their spouse or partner details. So if they did married but just don't have kids, then again, if you said, well, okay, I do want it to display with the children or spouse, then you probably don't necessarily want that setting because they will have their own section. So but this section here for the family section directly plays into who is included in this section right here. So, but for each one, you know, it's like you can say whether or not to do the person notes, fact notes, portraits. You have to set it in all four. So, and then the next option here is the photo album. And this is where it gets, well, if you want to include the photo album. Now this doesn't include the portraits because those are all set here in these four sections here. And this would be just for people when they are in their own section, because at the end, after all their information, so here's like pictures I've got set attached to them. Now there's their obituary, funeral cards. And it will go for, it goes for the primary person's media first, and then the spouse's. And then it gets, and then if that person has more than one spouse, then it would go into the second spouse and on. So that can get tricky because, you know, you might have a picture, say if my great-grandfather had a second wife, there could be pictures with him with his second wife before pictures of his first wife. But that's a discussion for a later class. But that's the order. You can just.
I have a question on the.
Yeah.
I like to include like the obituaries, like I saw some of them that you have there, but I have some that they're in a Word document. It won't pull the data out of a Word document and pull in, will it?
Well, there's another way of doing that. So, and I will get to that. Well, I'll get to that in just a little bit.
Okay.
I just kind of want to, well, actually, no, this might be a good time for that because these are just various items about what media items you want picked. And the rest, I think, could be a different class. Options. Now, these are kind of trivial ones you can just play with. Now, in the media, it's like typically the pictures, the JPEGs and stuff print. Now, if you have, excuse me, if you have, I have documents, for instance, that may be, well, that's a specialty item. Because that is a Word document, but that's for something else. Oh, I'm okay. This class is going to end in 10 minutes. They did implement that 40-minute time limit. So, okay, so media is handled by the time limit or by the media categories. Now in the Facebook group, there is a file called FBC Media Categories. You can go to the group, do that, and you can assign the media to those categories. So like, here's like a PDF file. You can assign these. Now I've already added these media categories into Family Tree Maker. So for a PDF file, you'd say handle story as image. And then there's other options. And then that would print. And you can also tell it, say, well, also print full width. Now for a Word document like this one, now that is a Word document. You can do this. Now this is only with Family Book Creator 2019. 2017 will not do this. You do FBC handle story as text, and then it can pull in that data from the Word document. And it will add it into the story.
Can I do that in Family Tree Maker?
Yes, you have to create this media category, and you have to assign it. That any Word documents you want printed to this media category, handle story as text.
I think we need a class on doing that.
And this is covered in the manual. You can just open up the user guide, just search for story as text, and it'll take you to that, and it'll tell you how to do it.
Okay.
Yeah. And then like this before and after family chart, that's the family tree chart. You can have a story appear before or after that. That would be like if there's a story that maybe pertains to the family, for instance. So, but that might be about it for this class. Any other questions?
No, thank you, John.
Yeah.
Okay, so like I said, this is just a very beginning intro, just to cover some of the main settings. And what I was working on is, after you're done, here's a bit.ly link. It's bit.ly/FBC class. And then it'll be a Google form, and then you can, it's an anonymous thing, and then you can just kind of rate how I did on this class. For the topic, just do like beginner class or something like that. And
Where do we find this?
yeah, you'll just type this into your web browser. So bit.ly/FBC-class. And just
Did you
type
add
that
that
into
to the
your web browser. And
Did
then,
you post that in the group, John?
pardon?
Did you post that link in the Family Book Creator Facebook group?
I'll do that later. So I'll do that after the class. So, or better yet, I think here I can send you, here. I think I can send a chat to all of you. Can't I? Oh, no, maybe not.
I believe you can.
I'll post it in the Family Book Creator group. So, but anyway, and then I don't know, future ones, I might be trying a different platform called WebEx from Cisco, but I'm not sure. Of course, half hour isn't a bad time limit either for classes too. So,
I think just the media could take one class.
oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
So anyway, well, thanks for attending. And like I said, I'll post that link later on. So.
Thank you very much. Really appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Yep. Okay.
I'm looking forward to more.
Yeah, well, hopefully, yeah, we will, and people will be able to sign up, and as James and my schedule permits, then we'll say, okay, we can do a class here, and let us know. So, okay, well, see you on the groups later, everyone. So,
I see there's a time remaining at the top now.
yep,
That's new.
yep.
Yeah.
Okay. Yep.
Thank you.
Bye.